Hey everyone, Bob Prentice, the Badass BA here. I've been scouring the news like there's no tomorrow during the pandemic. And this particular video does not have a song. This is an observation, uh, just because I think the message is important. But, I'm constantly reading the news 8, 9, 10, 15, 30 times a day, just depending on the day. And I came across this story from Thailand, and I want to give you some perspective on how our worlds are very, very different. So there were two restaurant owners that apparently scammed the public with a seafood promotion. Reading off the phone here. And what happened is they created these vouchers that people could use to buy the buffet. And then apparently they didn't have any intention of letting the people use the vouchers. And the vouchers cost, in some cases, as little as I believe it was 88 baht. Valid Scrabble word, BAHT, by the way. Scrabble background, which, by the way, is $3. So they scammed 347 customers. And if you assume some of them were more than 3 baht, let's say five, we're talking between $2,000 and $3,000 here that they scam people out of. Not cool. Doesn't seem like that much when we consider the big high crimes, money crimes that happen in America all the time. So they were sentenced to prison. And how long do you think they were sentenced to prison for? Any thoughts? Just letting that sink in. They actually were sentenced, two people, to 1,446 years in prison. I kid you not. 1,446 years. And after they confessed, they reduced the sentence to 723 years. And they were also fined, got to find it here, 1,807,500 baht, which is approximately $58,000. So this $3,000-ish scam cost them hundreds of years in prison and $58,000. Now, Thai law, the way it's based, heaps on the fines and everything else. They technically won't serve more than 20 years in prison. Let's be very clear. $3,000, 20 years in prison. $3,000 here would be like 10 days in jail in America, I swear to God. Maybe not quite that lenient, but it could still be very lenient comparatively. And so my advice is don't do anything you're not going to be proud of after you've done it. And that sounds a little flip or trite. It's not intended to be. It's intended to be serious, because don't do things that would bring shame on you or your team. That's a hard, thing to get across, because a lot of people will think, well, no, that's not that big of a deal. I live that way every day. Surprisingly, a lot of people forget that when they get into a protective mode or something else. You can look at your teams, you can look at organizations, you can see where it breaks down. We need to talk more about what's right. People don't always operate by the golden rule. And sometimes we think it's no big deal. Well, $3,000 is a 723-year deal. $58,000, I don't know how they're paying off $58,000. But yeah, so I just found it a very interesting observation of what's going on in the news. And I'm going to continue to scour the news to see what other unusual things I can find that we can learn from. But for me, it's just that moral ethics check constantly. Sometimes what we think is not that big of a deal, it's a very big deal. And if you did that in another country, something you could get away with here because you don't think it's that big of a deal, in another country, you end up in jail for. That's all I got to say about that. Do the right thing.